too well-intentioned, and if people say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do it," maybe they've changed, and we let them out again, and we find out that they go out and basically engage in the same type of behavior.
Yeah, it's just insane because you never know who's going to be the ones who are going to repeat and who's not, and there's just no point to letting them out at all.
Well, all too often, and I'll tell you, this is especially true in New York City where I live, and it's one of the things about the city that disappoints me the most, and I'm sure that people in other large cities will feel the same way when I say this, or will agree with me, but more and more public policy is being governed by what to do with the indigents and the criminally intended and those who have given up and have failed to assume the responsibilities of life. And we are more and more trying to come up with policies that affect all of us based on the presence of these people, rather than constructing policies that reward or accommodate those who play by the rules and those who live their lives in a way that we've placed certain public areas off limits and given it over to the homeless in some places. Now we're finding out that hasn't worked, and I mean, there's progress to be seen in places, but too much of our public policy is being dominated and governed about what to do with the veritable endless parade of human debris among us.
Yeah. Or, they could always just give lobotomies and let people right back out.
Oh, really? Now, this is a very liberal thing for you to say.
Well, I don't agree with you very often, but once in a while, there's something,
Well, now, give me something else you don't agree with me about.
Well, I think that maybe that legalizing drugs might just be a good idea so that our courts aren't so congested.
Wrong reason to do that.
Yeah, well, I'd rather see them prosecuting somebody who's killed someone or carjacked someone than somebody who's just done something to themselves.
There's been the Supreme Court had a decision yesterday. I was going to delay the discussion of this until the next hour, but this is maybe a good time to bring it up. The seizure and forfeiture laws in this country were really, really in violation of private property rights and privacy. All the federal government had to do to seize your house was suspect you of being involved in some kind of drug activity. And the stories around this country are many where federal authorities have simply raided a guy's house, seized his property, takes some of it away, and later found out a guy had nothing to do with drugs. And the Supreme Court said you can't do that anymore. Suspects have to be warned now that they're on a list, and their property may be seized. They have to be warned. You just can't show up in the middle of the night like a bunch of stormtroopers. And this may surprise some of you, but I am in total support of this decision by the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
And Clarence Thomas, first time I think Clarence Thomas and I have parted on an issue. But he says 20 years of drug law has been molded into place here, and that to change the rules in the middle of it is maybe not a good idea. But there were too many innocent people here being falsely accused, having their property seized on the basis of simple suspicion that they were involved in drugs. So heated has our drug war become that the simple suspicion of this has led to people losing their property and the contents of their homes.
Yeah, well, we've done this before. Back in 1692, they just came along and seized everything you had once you put in any kind of a plea, whether it was guilty or not. You didn't have to do anything wrong.
1692. Now, where did you pull that out of the sky?
Oh, well, I happen to be a studier of...
Something tells me that you really... This. Now, when you pull a factoid like that out of the clear blue... 1692, that means that you are passionate about something. Now, is there something about 1692 that you have related to an opinion you have on drugs?
Well, it seems to compare with the fact that they can just come in and take your belongings away.
No, they can't now.
That's true.
That's the point. They can't now.
Exactly, but in the past they could.
Now they have to warn you that they're going to come take your property away.
Yeah. And they used to be able to just come right in, so I don't know. It's pretty scary that they could do that. I'm glad that they're no longer able to.
Well, that's a positive sign, but I think legalizing drugs for the purposes of freeing up courts for other type things I mean, we should have a disagreement about that, because that's not the reason to legalize drugs. See, I don't think there is any reason to legalize drugs, but the reasons that people offer, I think, are interesting, because they give further evidence that legalization shouldn't happen. Like, well, we should legalize it and tax it, and we should raise revenue off of it and reduce the federal deficit. You know what that means? Follow the logic out. That means the federal government, the state, is going to legalize substances they know destroy people's lives, and then encourage people to go ahead and destroy their lives so that we can raise tax revenue from it. And it would take more revenue than we're going to raise to then care for these mental midgets after they've destroyed their minds on drugs and become unproductive members of a great society.
Yeah, that's true.
Bad move, bad move. Anything else we disagree about?
What else do we disagree about?
Well, I'm sure it's most things, since...
Quite a lot.
Yeah.
But I do agree with you about abortion. Very little else.
You agree with me about abortion?
Oh, yes.
And you're a liberal.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Actually, we've been kind of terming ourselves lately liberatives.
Liberatives.
Yes.
You know what I would do if I were you? You have just named a couple things here that if liberals gave out litmus tests, and they do, you would fail. They would ban you from the next liberal commune meetings. They would throw you out. You ought to just admit it. You're a conservative in waiting, a conservative in training. You're attending the Limbaugh Institute for Advanced Conservative Studies, and you're on your way to full-fledged American status. And you ought to be happy about this and look at it as a positive. But I realize it may be tough, because you have friends out there to whom you can't admit this stuff to without them having a fit, right?
Oh, I don't know about that, because I have a lot of other attitudes that people really say, well, you're so liberal.
Well, give me something quickly we disagree with. Whenever I ask you, this is typical liberalism, I ask you, what do you disagree with me about? And you name something we agree with or on.
Well, I don't think that prayer in school would be a good idea. I think that's kind of, I think that would be leaving a lot of other people out. Just, well, because...
No. Well, how do you think I define prayer in school? A state-written prayer that demands allegiance to a specific God?
Well, no, not necessarily, but even then, what about the children who are atheists? You know, I feel
Save them, help them. They're wrong, and they're in terrible trouble, and they need some help. Well, get them some heart. What about children who are atheists? You don't have to make them pray. Have a moment of silence. Let them study during that moment of silence. Maybe they got a math problem they didn't finish from homework the night before. Or let them write a little note to the little, friends that they pass notes to back and forth. There's all kinds of ways to use a moment. But I'd say the bad thing is taking God out of the institutions that made the country great, when in fact the country was founded on the virtues passed down from God. That's what's rubbing people the wrong way. Look, Lisa, it's been great talking to you. I'm way over time here. I got to run. We'll be back with more in a minute.
You're listening to the EIB Network.
Save $200 to $500 a year on your term life insurance payments. Male non-smokers 32 years old, $150,000 worth of life insurance for $155. 41 years old, $500,000 worth of life insurance for $410. Call 1-800-243-9977 toll free. They'll mail you without any obligation a free personalized price comparison that gets you the most life insurance for the least amount of money. Call Select Quote now, 1-800-243-9977 and see how much you can save.
Hi, Rush Limbaugh here. A major university recently surveyed over 600 employers as to why job applicants do not get hired. Number one reason, poor communication skills. People do judge us by the words we use, and Verbal Advantage, a complete audio cassette vocabulary program, will give you the word power you need to communicate with authority and flair. To learn more, call now, 1-800-28-TAPES. That's 800-28-TAPES.
It's so ballistic. It's on the radio. I love this place.
Burger King has done it again with the new Everyday Value Menu. The Everyday Value Menu has 3-tier pricing. That means delicious food for prices as low as 99 cents, $1.99, and $2.99. For just 99 cents, you get great tasting items like the Whopper Junior Sandwich, large drink, large onion rings, large French fries, or French toast sticks, just to name a few. For $1.99, Burger King offers their delicious Swiss sandwich with medium hash browns and a medium coffee, or the Whopper Junior with medium fries and medium drink. You get two first, that's 2 hamburgers and 2 small French fries for $1.99, or a hamburger kids meal for the same low price. And Burger King has their biggest sandwiches, like the BK Big Fish and the Whopper sandwich with medium fries and medium drink for only $2.99. Going to Burger King means have it your way. Great sandwiches and delicious combos, all part of the new Everyday Value Menu. That's every day. Only at Burger King, subject to owner participation. Prices may vary.
I love this place. Get it going right away.
Thinking about a new car for the new year? New year, new car, new image. Sounds great, right? Then you think about the hassle, haggling, dickering, and arguing over price. Pushy salespeople, questioning whether you got the best deal. Forget all that. Start the new year with a new way of buying a car. The no-hassle way. The courtesy of Goldsboro way. At Courtesy Buick GMC, every vehicle is marked right up front with its lowest price. Not an inflated price that you have to haggle over, the lowest price. Marked on every Buick, every GMC truck, every program car, every pre-owned vehicle. No negotiating, no pressure. Just great prices on great cars without all the hassle. Start the new year with the new car you want. Visit Courtesy of Goldsboro on Highway 70 East Bypass, the only no-hassle Buick dealer in North Carolina.
Program. This EIB Network. Where is this? I just had it here. There's something very... I've got faxes all over the place in front of me. There's not a... Yeah, here it is. Mansfield, Ohio. 2 inmates. 2 inmates. That means prisoners. For those of you in Minneapolis. Claim in a lawsuit that they now have a reason for being cranky in the morning. They've suffered from headaches and insomnia after giving up their daily dose of coffee. They're suing General Foods for not warning them that coffee is addictive.
It's Sears one-day sale. Your chance to save 5 to 50% on the gifts everybody wants this Christmas, like men's, women's, and kids' apparel. Save 5 to 50% on apparel items throughout the store. Get the top 3 names at appliances. Kenmore, Whirlpool, and GE on sale in Brand Central. Or save on electronics like Sony and RCA. And look for great savings on Craftsman tools. As always, your satisfaction is guaranteed or your money back. The one-day sale, Tuesday. One day to save 5 to 50% throughout the store, but only at Sears. Your home for the holidays.
Best in Saul's Men's Shop in Sunrise Shopping Center, Goldsboro, specializes in the hard-to-fit, short, stout, big, and tall man. Check out these pre-Christmas specials. Their entire stock of Palm Beach suits, 20% off. Entire Flying Scotsman collection, 20% off. As a matter of fact, the entire stock of top coats, all-weather coats. Their entire stock of London fog jackets and sweaters. And their ultra suede and cashmere sport coats are all 20% off. Best in Saul's Men's Shop, Sunrise Shopping Center, Goldsboro. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 7, Saturday, 9 till 6, Sunday 1:30 to 5:30.
WGBR, Goldsboro's very own.
From ABC News, I'm Gary Nahn. A judge in suburban Detroit has ordered Dr. Jack Kevorkian to stand trial on the charge of helping a 72-year-old woman with Lou Gehrig's disease commit suicide in October. Kevorkian faces trials in separate deaths, 3 deaths. Kevorkian's been in jail for 2 weeks, refusing solid food during that time. Meanwhile, President Clinton says the U.S. is on the verge of a historic victory for global free trade, but cautions it is not a done deal.
says thorny issues remain before a deal can be wrapped up. The president chatted with reporters today at the Commerce Department. After attending a business awards ceremony, he said how frustrated he is with the slow pace of reform in Russia.
I think it was probably largely a protest vote. I think that when people are having a tough time, and they have a tough time over a long period of years, they often look for simple answers. It's not unique to Russia. You can see that in many other democracies throughout the world and throughout history.
And the Clinton administration is proposing that almost one-third of the smog-reducing gasoline sold in the smoggiest cities around the country must be derived from so-called renewable sources such as ethanol, which is made from corn. A Colorado judge rules the state's anti-gay rights initiative is unconstitutional. Voters okayed Amendment 2 over a year ago. A master plan for the fight against breast cancer. Health and Human Services Secretary Donna Shalala leads a two-day conference at the National Institutes of Health. Maryland Democratic Senator Barbara Mikulski suggests the issue of breast cancer must be included in the debate on health care reform.
We have now had conferences, we have had caucuses, we've had communication, and now we need a sense of urgency to develop a plan that is specific, immediate, and realizable to deal with the breast cancer epidemic facing the United States of America.
There was a suggestion to come up with several screening tests allowing earlier detection. You're listening to ABC News.
It's Sears one-day sale. Your chance to save 5 to 50% on the gifts everybody wants this Christmas, like men's, women's, and kids' apparel. Save 5 to 50% on apparel items throughout the store. Get the top 3 names at appliances. Kenmore, Whirlpool, and GE on sale in Brand Central. Or save on electronics like Sony and RCA. And look for great savings on Craftsman tools. As always, your satisfaction is guaranteed or your money back. The one-day sale, Tuesday. One day to save 5 to 50% throughout the store, but only at Sears. You're home for the holidays.
Christmas is just around the corner, and everyone is hurrying around trying to decide what gifts to buy. This year, shopping was easy. I went to Radio Shack. Radio Shack is full of great gifts for everyone. Radio Shack has great toys for kids, and I loaded up on telephones, stereo gear, and all kinds of electronic gadgets for the bigger kids. Best of all, in case my gifts aren't right on target, Radio Shack stores are everywhere to help. What a great gift to shoppers. Hurry to Radio Shack for all kinds of great gifts.
Houston Oilers defensive tackle Jeff Alm apparently killed himself with a shotgun this morning just minutes after wrecking his own car and noticing that a passenger, a high school friend, was dead in the accident. Consumers spent more last month for holiday gifts. Retail sales jumped 0.4%. Furniture sales have hit their highest level in 10 years. Sales of U.S. savings bonds jumped 1.2% between October and November, but are more than 64% lower than 1 year ago when bonds carried a higher interest rate. Singer Liza Minnelli has put the first 14 names on the Radio City Music Hall Sidewalk of Stars in New York City.
It's wonderful. And everybody's always sort of wanted to not only go to the music hall, but to play in it. It's extraordinary. So in a way, it's like a dream come true.
Others honored on the Sidewalk of Stars include Bette Midler, Whitney Houston, Tina Turner, Frank Sinatra, Michael Crawford, and Andrew Lloyd Webber. The blue stars with gold signatures of the performers set in 11-inch bronze discs in the sidewalk. Diana, Princess of Wales, has dropped the name of her estranged husband from her Christmas cards. Prince Charles has retained a joint greeting from the cards that he is sending. On Wall Street, the Dow Jones Industrials are now down 13.14 at 3751.29. The volume 195,920,000 shares. The trading is now heavy. This is ABC News.
The holiday season brings joy, families together.
True, it also brings headaches, aching feet.
So you'll be glad to know that Bayer Aspirin has a free gift for you.
What, free Bayer Aspirin?
Right.
Free, genuine Bayer Aspirin?
Right now, when you buy a bottle of 100 Bayer Aspirin tablets, you'll get a second bottle absolutely free.
What do I look for? I'm kind of shopped out.
Go to the store and look for the special Bayer Aspirin buy one, get one free package. Ma'am? Ma'am? Happy holidays from the makers of Bayer. Limited offer, use only as directed.
For the ABC Information Network, I'm Gary Nunn.
If
If you were to design the ultimate supermarket, what would it have?
The ultimate supermarket. Well, how about fresh seafood? Oh, and gourmet cheeses. Oh, and a deli bakery.
Good. Anything else?
Well, it should have wide aisles. Oh, and more than just groceries, like housewares.
How about some hardware?
Sure. Oh, and checkouts. Lots of checkouts.
Congratulations. You've just designed your new Winn-Dixie.
I did?
It's your new Goldsboro Winn-Dixie, Highway 70 and Wayne Memorial Boulevard.
A new Winn-Dixie. What a great idea.
Be sure to set your alarm clock because Wayne County's finest food store opens Thursday, December 16th at 8 a.m. Your new Goldsboro Winn-Dixie has exciting specialty departments, even an in-store pharmacy. Get your prescriptions filled while you shop. Down every aisle, you'll find everyday low prices. Come shop the grand opening of the ultimate supermarket, your new Goldsboro Winn-Dixie, beginning 8 a.m. Thursday, December 16th. Highway 70 and Wayne Memorial Boulevard. Winn-Dixie, the low price leader.
WGBR.
Rush Limbaugh had a farm, E-I-E-I-B. On that farm there was some truth, E-I-E-I-B. Here a truth, there a truth, everywhere a truth, truth. Oh, Rush Limbaugh had a farm, E-I-E-I-B. Greetings to you, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Rush Limbaugh program. I, known as the Farmer of Truth, sowing seeds of the harvest each day. In our relentless pursuit of the truth, glad you're with us. 1 hour of broadcast excellence to go today. Get ahead.
This is a special edition of the Rush Limbaugh program, America Held Hostage. And now, from our studios in New York City, here is Rush Limbaugh.
Day 329 today of the raw deal for the poor and the middle class. The poor and the middle class of the raw deal being the Clinton administration's hostage crisis. Day 348 today for the rich and the dead, with about 1,131 days left for everybody. Weary hostages must endure that many days. You know, folks, I made a promise when I was down in Dallas over the weekend. I went down there to see the Phoenix Suns and my good friend Paul Westphal, head coach. Just a heck of a man. And I had dinner on Friday night. Had dinner with Westphal, one of his assistant coaches, Lionel Hollins, nicknamed Tree, and A.C. Green, who used to play for the Los Angeles Lakers and now plays for the Phoenix Suns. What's this? What's this? Mrs. O'Wiggins asked you to bring me fudge? If you're going to... I can't eat when I'm on the air. Well, now I'm curious. Why would somebody bring me... especially fudge? Well, it looks delicious. There's no question about that. But I mean, I'm puzzled. Mrs. O'Wiggins never sends food back here. No. I don't want to eat any of it. I mean, the Alaskan fudges probably looks delicious. I just don't want to eat any of it now. Here, Snurda, come get this. Here I am in the midst of it happens every time. You just walk in here, and I'm in the midst of a very heartwarming story about A.C. Green. You know who A.C. Green is? Plays for the Los Angeles Lakers. Used to play, has been now picked up with the Phoenix Suns. Well, let me tell you about A.C. Green. Number 45 for the Phoenix Suns. Now, A.C. Green has put together a video for kids. And you know what the purpose of this video is? It encourages, suggests, and recommends abstinence as the number one thing you can do to avoid contracting a deadly disease. And he has done this video in direct competition with Arsenio Hall and Magic Johnson. And he's been on several radio and television shows to talk about this video, but it's, hey, this is AC Green is a solid guy. Anyway, we're all there having dinner, and I had not had a chance to meet him until that night. And we just had a great time. We went to a place called Lowry's Prime Rib on Maple Street in Dallas, a place that was recommended to me because I said, give me a place for beef. And they said, well, we got these, they listed off 3 or 4 places, and I'd remembered being in a Lowry's Prime Rib once in Los Angeles, actually Beverly Hills when I was out there. And when I went with the Suns to Chicago last year for the NBA Finals, they had a Sunday night game, and everybody's looking for a place to have lunch on Sunday, and Westfall said, hey, they got a great Lowry's Prime Rib here. Let's go there. So it was closed. So I remembered that because I care about people. And I knew that Westfall loved Lowry's Prime Rib place. So I said, let's go there. So we went in there, and they had a beautiful place. And our waitress asked me, are you going to talk about this on your show Monday? And I said, absolutely I am, and then I didn't. I didn't talk about it. Her name was Miss Turner. And she was really good at the spinning salad. Turner. Miss Turner. It's a little note on the table that says, your server is Miss Turner. They look like, they have their servers dressed up as 18th century serving wenches. And I don't mean that in a negative, no, that's what they were called back then. They worked the pubs and so forth. The little bonnets that, no. They're asking me questions that no, there was no cleavage. Come on, it's a family joint, Snurdly. Why in the world do you insist every time the subject of women comes up, you start asking these questions based upon the most, I guess you don't get out much. I guess you're getting vicarious thrills through much of life by listening to me and doing my monologues here. So, well, anyway, we had a marvelous time, and I'd promised Miss Turner that I was going to discuss her. There's another factor of this story, and when you brought in that fudge, that Alaskan fudge, you guys eating it now is what you're doing? There's another aspect to this story, and I can't remember. There's a whole reason why I was bringing this up. Now I can't remember what it was. It'll come to me, though. Things always do. I'm going to go back to the forfeiture law, if I can, for just a moment, because we didn't have a whole lot of time to discuss it in the first hour. Basically, what's happened here is that the Supreme Court has ruled against the Justice Department and the federal government. The Supreme Court has ruled that property owners are entitled to a hearing before their home is seized. This is a result, or the law that has been overturned here was the result of our rampant desire to end all crime related to drugs in this country. And I realize that many of you people are probably surprised to hear me supporting this because you think that I'm one of these big, tough law and order guys, and I want to give law enforcement authority every opportunity I can to run in and invade people's privacy as long as they're after criminals. And I relish this opportunity to point out the fact that that's not good. There is, my friends, contrary to what you may think, do you know what the single most important right we have in this country is in terms of perpetuating freedom for all, our democratic process, and most of all, our economic prosperity and freedoms? Do you know what that right is? It's not the First Amendment. It's not freedom of speech. It's not the right to protest. It's not any of the Bill of Rights. It is the right to own property. It is private property. The right to own that is key and fundamental. If we ever lose that, we have lost it all. If the state can come in and seize whatever we own, then what good is working to earn anything, to buy anything, to ultimately own something? And that's what this law allowed. All they had to do in the federal government was have a suspicion that you were involved in drugs, and they could storm your house and seize it and your property without you being charged. And I don't care what kind of crime we're pursuing. There is nothing so severe that it warrants the doing away with private property rights in order to apprehend criminals. Because once, I am convinced that once, if that takes hold and is then allowed to expand to other areas, say that we want to say, we want to get people with guns too. We don't care if maybe they're not even doing drugs, but we want to get people who maybe have a gun illegally. And if all you have to do is suspect that somebody's got a gun illegally, if it got to that point, they could storm your house and take the contents and whatever. And that's not good. So this is it's not a unanimous decision. It's 5-4. This is a very, very close decision. And I think that, I don't know who wrote the majority opinion in this. I haven't gotten that far in the story. But I know so many people out in the left coast, especially, and there are a lot of people in Florida, whose property has been stormed by federal agents just on the suspicion they were doing drugs. And in some cases, these people get shot because these guys go in armed. And if you don't know what's coming and all of a sudden you oppose them, stand your ground, you're looked at as a potential threat. I mean, some terrible things have happened because of this. But don't forget, and if you have any doubt, if you college students out there or high school students and you're on Christmas break already and you're wondering, what do you mean private property? You go ask a political science professor or an economist about the importance of the right to private property and how that is the fundamental building block on which America is built. Freedom of speech is not number one. Quick break. After that, we haven't played any Mannheim Steamroller today, have we? And I haven't played any, we haven't played any full selections. You got to be in the right mood for that. And I've promised that I would also play the Clinton Christmas tune again, the Christmas album that's available. Hey, one other thing before we go. Let me go ahead and get this done so that we can spend the rest of the time on the phones. This was in the New York Times yesterday, and I didn't have a chance to get to it, but anybody know the name of Morris Dees? Morris Dees is a very famous white liberal, and he founded the Southern Poverty Law Center. He's the president of it. And as part of the Southern Poverty Law Center, there was established Klan Watch, and with a K. And Klan Watch was a group of liberals studying hate crimes, bias crimes committed by the Ku Klux Klan. Yesterday, the New York Times reported via the words of Morris Dees, this would be, I'll try to give you an analogy. Morris Dees doing what I'm going to tell you he did here would be analogous to the ACLU defending, shall we say, the ACLU voting for Oliver North for president. I mean, it's just something you'd never expect to happen. In the process of studying hate crimes and bias crimes, they have discovered that blacks are arrested and convicted of hate crimes committed against people of other races and ethnic groups more than ever. And it is now most hate crimes and race crimes are committed by blacks against whites than the other way around. And it's a shocking reversal, says Morris Dees, since the early 1980s when most hate crimes were committed by whites against blacks. The Southern Poverty Law Center, which documents racially motivated crimes through the Klan Watch Project, says it's recorded 58 race-related slayings nationwide, with blacks being charged in nearly 30 of them since 1990. In the 2 years before that, only one black was charged among 13 hate crime murder cases. Today, intolerance and racism have no racial or geographic boundaries. Dovetails exactly with what I was saying last week. Race crimes cut both ways, and it's a dirty little secret that nobody wants to admit. Well, the first thing that's happened since I admitted it was that one of the nation's preeminent liberals, Morris Dees, has confirmed it. Another example. Are they calling him a racist? I haven't seen that yet. They're going to have to be tough. It'd be like calling Ted Kennedy a racist. You just would never expect to hear that. Now, I don't think they'll call Morris Dees a racist. I don't know what the reaction's going to be here. They can't hide behind this stuff anymore. Yeah, well, yeah, I'm the racist for reporting it. Yeah, right. Well, regardless, here it is now, and it's been out there. It's been put out there in the public arena by me. Race crimes cut both ways, and here's now the proof. Morris Dees, he's not going to like this, me being the one to report it. But he says racism has no boundaries. So there it is, another example, my friends, of cutting-edge material, analysis, and commentary on this show by me for you. We'll be back after this.
You're listening to the EIB Network. Who was the first to warn conservatives that Bill Clinton may have a virtual lock on re-election in 1996? Who was quick to expose the real Anita Hill? Who told the truth about the David Koresh debacle and Hillary's health care scam? And who dug deep to produce the unauthorized Clinton financial audit? The American Spectator, the country's most fearless news magazine. The one over 500,000 conservative thinkers rely on every month for fact-based news and commentary they can't find anywhere else. Call 800-767-1100 now and get a free trial issue of the American Spectator. If you like it, receive one full year for just $34.95. Otherwise, cancel on the spot, but keep the free issue. Call 800-767-1100. That's 800-767-1100. The American Spectator. Isn't it time you took a free look? Call 800-767-1100 now.
Hooked on Phonics. To give your preschooler a head start in reading, press A. For help with reading comprehension, press B. For older students who have fallen behind in reading, C. To improve spelling skills, D. For adults ready to teach themselves to read, press E. For all your reading needs, call 1-800-ABCDEFG and put Hooked on Phonics under your Christmas tree.
This Christmas, Jingle Bells are free for all our Sprint Cellular customers. As a special gift, Sprint Cellular wants you to have free calling on Christmas Day. From midnight on Christmas Eve to midnight on Christmas Day, all your local airtime will be free of charge. And for a great gift suggestion, we recommend Sprint Cellular gift certificates. Available at your local Sprint Cellular business office, these certificates are good toward any of our products or services. You'll quickly find that giving the gift of cellular convenience will make you a very popular Santa this holiday season. So enjoy free local calling on Christmas Day. But please remember that long distance and roaming charges will still apply. For more information, call your local Sprint Cellular office today.
Hello, Americans. I'm Paul Harvey. If you have a relative or a friend who listens regularly to Rest of the Story stories, or if you have a student in the family studying either history or journalism, I have a Christmas gift suggestion for you, a collection of my favorite Rest of the Story stories, now available on video cassette, also on audio recording. And you can order either or both in time for Christmas by dialing 1-800-88-STORY. Have a credit card handy when you dial 1-800-88-STORY.
Now at Sears, this Tuesday, the 14th only, save on appliances and electronics throughout Grand Central. All TVs are $10 to $200 off. All camcorders are $30 to $60 off. All 4-hit VCRs are $10 to $50 off. And take 10% off all dishwashers and microwaves, 15% off all vacuums, and 20% off all sewing machines. Save on popular brands like Sony, Kenmore, Whirlpool, GE, and Genair. This Tuesday, the 14th only at Sears Grand Central. Your home for the holidays. Savings off regular prices.
WGBR.
I just remembered what it was that I was going to tell you in the monologue about going to Dallas, and that was that while we were at dinner at Lowry's Prime Rib on Maple Street, there was this huge table, about 26 or 30 people sitting not far from me, from Southwest Airlines. See, I cannot get away from these people now. They send in baskets of stuff they give away on their flights, because I said you got to bring your own peanuts, and they tried to show me I was wrong. But I ordered a bottle of wine, and they ended up buying it. They sent a note over saying, hey, we would like to buy you another bottle of wine. And I said, I didn't want another bottle of wine. I was with a bunch of teetotalers who were drinking politely, as was I. But one bottle was plenty, but I didn't want to order another one just to thank them for the offer. So I said, well, let them buy this. And so they were very kind. Everybody, it's just nice. I was at the arena, over at Reunion Arena. I'm sitting there minding my own business, watching the game. And we're sitting with Norm Sanju and his wife, who's the general manager, chief operating officer of the Dallas Mavericks. And timeout ends, and I'm just looking around at the scoreboard and taking in the arena. I guess this is the third quarter. And all of a sudden, some guy starts shouting at me from the court. Hey, hey, Rush! And I'm looking around, because I don't think anybody from the court would be yelling at me. Finally, I figured it was Barkley. It was old Milk Dud Head. And I look at him, and I give him thumbs up. He said, how you doing? I said, I'm fine. I just gave him a thumbs up, and I went into the locker room after the game, and everybody said, so what do you think of Barkley running for governor of Alabama? And I can't Cottons Fitzsimmons, who is does their TV play-by-play or commentary, color commentary, used to be the general manager and coach, came up and had just a clever answer to that. But I did not get permission from anybody in that locker room to discuss what's said, but it was just funny. I'll ask him sometime if I can tell you, because it was funny. It's harmless, it's funny, but I know that what goes on in there is off the record. And but it was about Cotton being his campaign manager, if he runs. Says, you need somebody in Alabama named Cotton to be your campaign manager if you're going to. But it was different than that. It was great. Back to the phones to Naples, Florida. This is Max. Hello. Welcome to the Rush Limbaugh program.
Rush.
Hey.
Merry Christmas.
Same to you.
Warm from Naples.
Thanks very much. It's a great place, lovely place.
Yeah. My concern, Rush, is that after the Cold War was won by President Reagan, in my opinion, our illustrious Democrats began screaming that the threat was over. We must now cut our military. And here we're sitting letting our president and her husband disarm our soldiers, close our bases, and now we have a liberal Democrat / communist in Russia gaining strength, and we're sitting here worried about whether our weapons are aimed at fish. The Soviet Union was not and is not our only threat. What do you think?
Well, I think you've made a valid point. In fact, I was reading something just today. I've so much stuff that I read every day, and I can't remember exactly where, but it went right to the point you're making about the fact that we are not in a state of military preparedness, and that if today we had to commit troops in the same number that we sent to the desert, to the Gulf, and we had to do it with the same objective, we couldn't, that we are not prepared to engage in that kind of, we're not prepared for it, we're not equipped to do it. And I think you raise a valid point. This is still a dangerous world, and the United States is a nation at risk. in a dangerous world, and downsizing the military. It's the only place these guys can go and strip money from the budget and put it somewhere else and call it a cut. That gets me. You know, this entitlement seminar that was held yesterday down for Marjorie Margolis Mizvinsky was nothing more than a health care seminar, as I predicted. And they go on to talk about, and Clinton, in fact, is quoted as saying that he doesn't want to cut any more entitlements, that we just can't afford to cut entitlements. He said something yesterday that was incredible. I showed the clip on television yesterday. Some markets it'll air today. But he actually said if you cut too much out of the budget, especially in health care costs right now, that those costs are just going to have to be made up by the private sector somewhere, and it's primarily going to be made up in the loss of raises. People will not get increases in raises and so forth. So what he was basically saying was, if we cut the federal budget too much, you won't get a raise. And it's just unconscionable to make that cut, to say you're going, if we reduce federal spending, people are not going to get a raise. See, if you reduce federal spending and the market has to make up the difference in spending, if it can't make it up, you go without it. That's the difference. That's the whole point. And what's happened is they've stripped the military bare here, and I don't mean in terms of making it totally ineffective, but the draconian cuts that they have planned. Look at, they're going to get rid of the National Guard by 100,000 members. They are closing all these bases. They're canceling new weapons systems and everything else. And if you think that's not important, keep in mind that the deterrence factor alone of building weapons that we hope we never had to use is what gave us the oompa behind our statements and intentions. And we're rapidly losing that. It's a great point you're making.
Is your car hard to start? When you accelerate, does your car hesitate? Notice the loss in power? If you said yes, maybe it's dirty fuel injectors and time for STP Super Concentrated Fuel Injector Cleaner. One treatment helps unclog dirty injectors fast to restore power and performance for up to 2,500 miles. So use STP or just keep going the way you've been going. STP. Drive a better car.
This is WGBR News, Goldsboro's very own.
This is Wayne Alley. The Mount Olive Waco Impact said again in a public hearing last night on the town's proposed 2 minority, 2 white, and 2 at-large voting districts that the plaintiffs in the lawsuit will accept 3 things. Ann Robinson said these are enlarging the board from 5 to 6 members if an acceptable method of electing the board is adopted, 2 at-large seats by limited voting, and the substitution of the 97% majority African-American districts proposed by the town with 2 districts with 75% African-Americans in each. Ms. Wilson told the town board that proposed 97% majority African-American districts are extreme packing. The Mount Olive Town Board was told by Effie Odom at last night's public hearing on the town's proposed voting district plan that the ACLU and the NAACP can run the town if they'll pay the town taxes, and she doesn't have to pay any taxes. Mrs. Odom told town commissioners, quoting now, "If all of us have got to pay our taxes in Mount Olive, regardless of representation, then I say let you all run the town. You were the ones voted to run our town, not the NAACP and not the ACLU." A committee composed of Mayor Lewis Pate and Town Commissioners Jimmy Ball and Dr. Janice Fox was appointed last night to review applications for Mount Olive Police Chief. The mayor indicated that review could begin within days. Consulting engineers have given the town of Mount Olive a ballpark estimate of $269,000 to $325,000 it would cost to re-roof 4 town buildings, including the town hall, the administration building, the fire station, and the rescue building. All those buildings were constructed 22 to 32 years ago. Commissioner Gene Lee said they put off the roof work long enough and will have to meet at the college if they do not do something. Members of the Wayne County Social Services Board saw in a demonstration yesterday what the tens of thousands of dollars worth of computers provided by county commissioners will do to prevent or cut down on fraud. Shelton Price was among those seeing the demonstration that gives food stamp workers immediate access to information pertaining to applicants seeking services. According to documents on file, an incident in the Wayne County Jail resulted in injury to 1 inmate and charges against 4 inmates. Warrants charged 25-year-old James Richard Godwin, 23-year-old J. Ursel Carlton, Joseph Irvin Powell, and John Marshall Wright with assault inflicting serious injury to Dennis Poitras. The suspects are charged with assault inflicting serious injury, allegedly by striking Poitras about the face and body with a sack full of soap, inflicting cuts and bruises that required treatment at Wayne Memorial Hospital. Stay tuned for the latest Weather Center forecast. It's 27 before the hour. For WGBR News, I'm Wayne Alley.
One low-pressure area off to our west and a second expected to form along the coast tonight should combine to bring some unsettled conditions lasting at least through tomorrow. Our forecast for this afternoon, thickening cloud cover. We'll have rain developing toward evening and a high in the mid-50s. Then tonight, periods of rain changing over to light rain and drizzle toward morning, the low about 40 or so. For Wednesday, we'll see clouds and lingering drizzle on into early afternoon. Otherwise, it'll turn breezy and mostly cloudy. Highs tomorrow about 43 in the northwest to 53 in the southeast. I'm Mike Moss at the Weather Center.
Now, more of the Rush Limbaugh Show on 1150 WGBR.
Next time we have a campaign, I'm going to go back to the archives every day. I'm going to learn this. We're going to start from now. I'll tell you what, folks, this show is going to do. We are going to examine candidates during the campaign, as we should, rather than get screwed and snookered and then be stuck with a mistake for 4 years. We're going to do what we can here to examine them, which we did the last time. But now you will listen more closely. We'll go to Texas. Paul, hello. Welcome to the Rush Limbaugh program.
Hey, Rush, mega dittos from the beautiful hill country.
Thank you.
In Canyon Lake, Texas.
Canyon Lake?
Yes, sir.
Great.
That's it. So, last week you were talking about women in combat and gays in the military. And a lot of the opinions that you're hearing are from people who have never been there. Well, I graduated from West Point, and I'm also a veteran of Desert Storm. And I don't believe that women should be allowed in combat, nor gays in the military.
Well, we do hear from people. We may not have heard from as many as you would like on this show, but I mean, we've seen videotape of people who have served, are serving, and I don't know so much about women, but the homosexual thing is not. It's not a matter of debate. I mean, present even compromise. Hang on here just a second, Paul. We'll continue in a moment.